Thank you. And could we give Tim Farron a round of applause for joining us today? Yeah, that's okay. Let me just make sure it's working. The moment you get tapped, I'll make sure. Yeah, it is working. It's over to you.
All right. Terry, thank you. Thanks to all of you as well. So, what makes a great speech? A great speech moves people from one place to another. And on the morning of the 8th of May, I heard a truly great speech. And it came from the lips of Nick Clegg. That night, that morning, as we had been devastated in that election, he set out how vital liberalism is, how much under threat it is, how vital it is that we fight for it. And we were reminded, and we're reminded today, that the things that we did in 5 years in power we should be massively proud of. For example, funneling £2.5 billion of funding through the pupil premium to the very schools that Tories don't send their kids to. £8 billion in funding for green technology, anti-climate change measures, against a party that thinks all that kind of stuff is green crap. But you know what makes me most proud of Nick, most proud of you? It's the fact that Nick went into number 10 Downing Street on our behalf, argued and fought and expended vast amounts of political credit and capital in order to end the detention of the children of asylum seekers. 5,000 kids, none of whom know who it is they have to thank for their freedom. Not a single vote won by Nick as he fought for what was right. And that is the measure of the man who I am still proud today to call my leader. Now, I think great speeches move people. That speech absolutely moved people. And it moved, to be precise, 18,000 people and counting. Norman might have already done this, but audience participation, bear with me. Hands up if you've joined in the last 7 weeks. Awesome, thank you. Thank you very, very much. You may have come along today to find out what you can do for your party, and I promise you we're going to tell you. However, I want you to know you have made a massive difference already. When I went into HQ the Tuesday after polling day, I expected to find a bunch of broken, demoralised people. Go and put my arm around them. I found no broken or demoralised people. I found people buzzing with the adrenaline that your signing up to our cause had put in them. So I am massively grateful to what you for what you have done already. But on the 7th of May, this country ejected this party into the wilderness. And the only thing that matters in this leadership contest is how are we going to get out of it? Because I don't want to spoil this evening for you, but the reality is you're going to find two good liberals today who will agree with each other on what we are for and what we've achieved on about 99% of things. And even the grumpiest of you is going to agree with us on 95% of things. The tragedy is this: we can do naff all about those things because we just lost an election and lost it heavily. So these events are all about you asking us questions. Forgive me for my impertinence, but I have a question for you. Do you want to win?
Yes.
Do you want to win? Yeah? Good. Because if you do, I am your man. I am standing for this position for one reason and one reason only. I am not having the party of Lloyd George, of Gladstone and Grimond die on my watch. That is why I am here. And if I look at what drives me and why I am involved in this in the first place, I have to reveal a little bit about where I came from, which was a little bit further north than North London, and in a little place called Preston, which is these days a city. It wasn't then. I was brought up by my mum, single mum, me and my little sister, and you know, we had no money. And the measure of a good parent is that you never found out you're in poverty until many, many, many years later. And I remember the moment it really dropped, the penny dropped on me. I was in my late 20s, and my grandmother had passed away. At her funeral, or after the funeral, me and my mum were washing up together and discussing the fact that my grandma's wedding ring had been melted into my great-grandmother's. I said, "Whatever happened to your wedding ring, Mum?" And she said, I pawned it when you were 7 to feed you. I thought, well, crumbs, how did I, from those sorts of beginnings, end up going to university and unlike pretty much anybody else I knew? And it struck me the reason is, I had a bloody-minded parent who never knew when she was beaten, which is probably why I'm a Liberal Democrat. But you don't have to be, and you shouldn't have to be, that jamming in life. You shouldn't have to be that jamming. Because I look at my mates, the people I grew up with, and I had a really happy childhood, by the way. You know, those people, what they amounted to, the thing that angers me the most is not the immorality and the unfairness of inequality, it's the complete and utter waste of good and wonderful people. And in this country today, if you are a woman, you will be paid less on average than if you are a man. If you are LGBT+, you will have fewer opportunities in life than if you are not. If you are not white, you will be paid less than if you are white. If you're from some regions and nations of this United Kingdom, you will have fewer opportunities than if you are from others. Inequality is morally wrong, but it is also utterly stupid. What a waste of talent. If you had a company and you only made use of 20% of your people and 20% of your space, you would be an idiot and you would fail, but that is Britain. And I want us not just to be against inequality because it's bad, but for equality because it is good. And we have done too much of telling people what we are against. I want us to go out there and tell people what we are for. And not just that, I want not just to have policies that tell people what we will do. I want policies that tell people who we are. Who are we? So, we are the kind of decent people who stand up for the most powerless people in our society, no matter what the press says about us. Therefore, we will be the people who put our hands up and say, we must give a home to those refugees crossing the Mediterranean. We should be the kind of people, we are the kind of people who believe that we are internationalists, anti-nationalists, that we are outward-looking, generous-spirited. Therefore, we will proudly lead the campaign to keep Britain in the European Union. We are the kind of people who believe that nothing robs you of your freedom and your dignity more than poor housing. Therefore, we alone will lead the fight against David Cameron's sell-off of housing association properties. Who are you? Who are you? I want people to be absolutely clear. Who are we? And I think in the election just gone, I'm afraid people did not know who we are. If I become our leader, people will know who we are. Britain will like it. Britain will like it. Because our survival and revival as a party is absolutely essential. And I say that knowing that whilst it is essential, it is not inevitable. Our comebacks in time gone by under various leaders, that, you know, many of you are aware, this is not the first near-death experience this party has endured. And we've got through it in the past, but we haven't got through it by accident. You see, it isn't good enough to just want the Liberal Democrats to recover, to survive and thrive. You have to have a plan. So let me be very blunt with you. You are looking at the only Liberal Democrat candidate in the election on May the 7th who got more than 50% of the vote. Only one in the whole country. You are looking at the Liberal Democrat, the only place in Britain where the Liberal Democrats came first in those shocking European elections last time round, Westmoreland. In those terrible Police and Crime Commission elections 2.5 years ago, we came first. One place in the United Kingdom, you guessed it, Westmoreland. None of those successes were accidents. And I have a plan, and it's a plan that is based on what we've done up there. You see, the reason we won, amongst other things, is we told people who we were, and people liked it, and people got behind it, and in the end, we have 2,000 volunteers in Westmoreland, 2,000 volunteers in one constituency. And they don't come along by accident. They come along because you inspire them, you build them, you drive them, you keep them going. They're not all party members. 3/4 of them are not party members. And that is what I want to do, because when that tsunami came on May the 7th, we were stood on the top of Everest and got nowhere near it. And I want that for every district, for every city, for every town, every ward the Liberal Democrats are active in. Okay, so I've told you a little bit about what I want to do, where I've come from, how I want to achieve the things I want to achieve. I just want to finish really and reflect on the fact that this time last week, Norman and I and others were in Glasgow at the Bute Hall, commemorating Charles Kennedy, our fallen leader. And I heard great speeches about him that night, but I reflect on what a great man he was. And I want to just quickly say why I think Charles Kennedy deserves the title of great. You see, he was utterly human. He was utterly human and spoke to a people in a way that cut through. And the reality is that if the messenger is trusted, the message is delivered. It's listened to. He was human, unspoken. Human, principled. His stand against the Iraq war was massively unpopular with the establishment at the time. Forget about it now, 12 years on, it seems an easy decision. It jolly well wasn't. He stood up to Labour, Tories, Murdoch press alike in order to lead us in that principled opposition. Human, principled, effective. This is the man who led us to our best number of MPs since the party was formed, our largest number of MPs since Lloyd George's day. And I'll tell you this, here's my hypothesis. Human, principled, effective, they are connected. They are connected. We have just endured an election where the bad guys had all the best ideas. The bad guys were the most effective. The bad guys won. Charles Kennedy is the proof that the good guys can win too. And that is what I want to bring back to this party. You see, we don't just need one leader. We need 62,000 leaders, people who believe that they are gathered together for such a time as this to fight for liberalism and to build that fight back. And if you elect me as your leader, your feet will hurt, you will never have delivered so many leaflets. You elect me as your leader, your bank balances will hurt, you will never have donated so much money. You elect me leader, your shoulders will ache from erecting state boards that you are beyond your capacity to do. And if you elect me leader, your faces will ache from the mile-wide grin that you will have, because we are going to win again.